the Dances with Films Festival talking to the creative team behind Beautiful Dreamer.
I'm David Gaddie, I'm the director.
I'm Natalie Smith, I play Amy.
And I'm Stephen Kelleher, I co-wrote the film with David.
So tell me about Beautiful Dreamer. It sounds like a very whimsical but yet heartwarming film.
Yes, it's a science fiction film that's about a mother and a daughter who are separated. Actually, I'm going to start again with that. It's quite complicated. It's one of those really complicated stories. It's a science fiction story about a mother who's dying, and she the only way she can spend time with her daughter is to actually go off into space and come back every 7 years, where time dilation lets her see her daughter grow up through her life, even though she only has 2 years left to live.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. Now, was it an adaptation from a book?
It's an adaptation from a short story by a writer by the name of Ken Liu. He wrote a very short 3-page short story, and we expanded that into a 26-minute film.
Now, how did the two of you work together to expand it into a film?
Stephen?
Well, wow, what a question. We sat down for about a month and a half, and we workshopped just about everything we can think about for the story, and paid particular attention to the kind of relationship you would have if somebody important to you left your life forever but kept coming back nevertheless.
Sounds kind of sad.
It's sad and it's kind of beautiful at the same time. I think it's one of those films where you while you're watching it, you feel the pain of what's happening, but at the same time, it's a certain amount of joy in the experience they have together.
Now, this sounds very different. Now, how did you figure out how to cast your star as well as the rest of the cast?
I cast Natalie first. I auditioned people, and Natalie was the first person who came in who I said, she is Amy, she's the daughter. And then I built the cast up around her. I think once I knew who she was, I had to find a mother who was compatible with her and who I believed as a mother and daughter. And then I had to cast the daughter through different ages, because we see Amy's character from age 3 to age 90. So Natalie played Amy from 16 to 40, and then I cast younger children to play when she's much younger, and then we cast an amazing older actress, Lynn Cohen, as the sort of very old lady, Amy.
Now, how did you work on a character that was spanning so many years dealing with their mother?
In terms of the different ages, I did a lot of backstory work, just to track what happened in my character's life since the last time I saw my mom. And other than that, well, I was a teenager once, so I took up from my own life, and I have children in my life, so later on I play a mother, and so I sort of worked off of that, my own experience of kids that I care about and being motherly. And what was the second part of your question? Was it about being
working with the mom actress who was remaining the same, but I'm sure that your character felt resentment towards her at times.
Exactly, yeah. I went through resentment, which I think is the same with any mother-daughter relationship anyway. You go through phases of really wanting them and not wanting to separate, but at the same time needing to separate. And so I think actually, even though there's all this time stuff happening, and like you say, it's a sci-fi film, it's really just that story of to me at least, as like any other story in a way, of a mother and daughter. I also had an amazing co-star, Jo, who who played my mom, and she was very easy to work off of and wonderful to work with.
Yeah, as a director, the two women who we saw through most of the film formed an amazing relationship. So they kind of found those scenes together in a way that was really powerful. And the one thing I was going to say about Natalie is that we used makeup to age her, but most of the work she had to do with performance. So the way she is as a teenager is very different to how she is as a 40-year-old, and the way she carried herself was so different that it made people assume we did huge amounts of makeup, but we only did a little bit of makeup. But you completely believe her existing at all these very different ages. She goes to say 16 to 45. It's amazing. In a couple of days.
So while you were making the film, did you have to make any tweaks to the script? Because sometimes when you're making a movie, as you're picturing it in your mind as you're writing it, it has to change in the reality of filming with a person.
Absolutely, you always do. I mean, one thing I really loved in this process was that the actors improvised a little bit as well. And I think we had a really tight script, but I like to let the actors kind of really own the material. And we did a lot of rehearsal where we looked at the backstory and we looked at what was going on in their lives. And I was happy for them to work off the script. And I think some of the nicest lines of dialogue in the film were ones that the actors came up with as almost a response to what we talked about. I think that, I don't know if you've seen the film, the last scene, the old Amy says to her daughter, "I love your hair." She says, "Your hair, I love your hair." That was something she made up on the day because we've been talking about how the characters are obsessed with each other's hair, and she just said it, and it was really powerful, and actually was probably the most powerful line in the film.
Now, is this your first year with the Dances with Films Festival?
Yes, it was first year, and it's actually a great festival. I'm really enjoying it. I've been to other festivals, and this festival feels like the one that cares most about the filmmakers and what the filmmakers are doing. And so actually, and the films are actually really amazing as well. I've watched several blocks of shorts where I've enjoyed every single film. It's been really great. Yeah.
Amazing. My first time here too, and I've had an amazing time, and I thought the films are very well curated as well. There's like a theme in each block there. They all connect to each other, and it's just been very enriching and wonderful.
Yep, we felt enormously looked after by the people running the festival. Amazing people. We wish that Joe Armeniox and Lynn Cohen were here with us as well to enjoy this because it's just been spectacular.
Now, where was the film shot?
It was shot in New York. We shot it last winter because we wanted it to be all snowy, and we managed to shoot in Times Square, and we used kind of a few iconic locations, and then we just used the surrounds of New York.
Now, why did you choose New York versus, are you English?
Drew. But I live in New York. I live in New York now, yeah. We're a New York team now.
As an American, I can't differentiate.
No.
It's all everywhere else.
Yeah. That's funny because Natalie studied acting in England as well, so we joke about this. Yes. No, New York's a great city to film in because it's actually very film friendly. I mean, you can take a camera and walk out in the streets and shoot without a permit, and no one can really stop you. It's amazing.
No one can stop me from filming.
That's true. It's no one. You've got no excuse in New York not to. We shot in Times Square with just a piece of paper that said we're allowed to be there, and that's it.
Wow, that is very friendly of New York.
It is very friendly of New York.
Are very friendly.
Yeah.
They get a bad rap, but they're very friendly. And I feel like they're so used to movies being shot that they just know the drill. They somehow know not to look at the camera and to act like they're having fun.
Except in Times Square, where everyone's a tourist, and then you get the usual kind of crazy people wanting to know crazy things. Apparently, when we were shooting in Times Square, someone said, "Is anyone famous in the film? Is anyone famous?" And someone else said, "No, but the director's definitely from LA." Yeah, I know him. He's from LA.
Now, what was the craziest thing about shooting in New York? Did you run into Pizza Rat?
No, thank God.
What was it?
There's plenty of other rats. Pizza Rat.
No. New York was it's fun. I mean, you've got to deal with the chaos of when you try and move from one location to the next. That takes a very long time because there's so much traffic. But otherwise, New York's a great place to shoot. Except we were shooting in winter, so it was freezing cold, and it wasn't always supposed to be winter. So
I had to act warm.
Sorry, they were wearing, the kind of jackets you have in the future, which don't look very thick. They're very warm, but they don't look very thick. So she had to pretend she wasn't actually suffering from hypothermia while we were shooting scenes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I have to say, I love the image on the poster. How did you pick this particular scene? Because it really encapsulates the film with the space travel, her sad look, the father, the little girl. You can tell just from that poster, you have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
This was the opening scene of the film. It's a key scene, and we shot it outside in front of the George Washington Bridge in New York. So we're on the New Jersey side, looking across at New York, and it's such a beautiful graphic image with that bridge. But what we added in post-production is this space elevator, which takes the mother off into space in the beginning of the film. So the first scene of the film, you see this giant space elevator coming down, and the camera follows it up into the sky, and we see all these birds flying off that are disturbed by the space elevator. Because it's kind of all about nature being disturbed by this technology that comes in and kind of ruins everything.
So someone is not here in Los Angeles celebrating Dances with Films Festival. How can they find Beautiful Dreamer?
I think very shortly, maybe in the next 2 months, I'm going to release it online. If they go to our Facebook page, which is
BeautifulDreamFilm.com.
The website's beautifuldreamerfilm.com. They can check and get updates and see when we release it online. But I think July is when we'll release it online.
On the Facebook page, you can find Beautiful Dreamer film on Facebook as well.
Well, I'll be looking for it. I'm a major sci-fi fan, and it just sounds so it feels like it's going to make me cry, so I definitely will bring some Kleenex with me.
It'll definitely make you cry.
That was the plan. That was the plan.
Thank you so much for talking with me. Congratulations on getting into Dances with Films Festival.
Thank you very much.
This is Cherry talking indie films at the 2016 Dances with Films Festival in Hollywood, California.